Just one moment of carelessness can turn into a dangerous situation. When humans face wild animals, everything happens fast and unpredictably. Watch till the end to witness the most intense encounters. A man stepped into a lion enclosure not by accident, but because he was no longer fully aware of reality. When a predator's hunting instinct meets a human who doesn't resist, everything becomes unpredictable. And this time, the line between survival and the end was thinner than ever. At first, the lion moved slowly, its gaze calm as if it were simply observing. But in an instant, it suddenly accelerated and charged straight forward. Fortunately, the visitors were inside a vehicle protected by a metal frame. Otherwise, that fragile distance would not have been enough to keep them safe. The night was quiet until a lion appeared right on the balcony. There was no more distance, no more safe boundary. And while the people tried to control the situation, they quickly realized that the decision to stop or not belonged to the lion. She believed she was used to the tiger, that everything was under control. But instinct doesn't give warnings, just a single moment of distraction. And the roles between trainer and prey were suddenly reversed. Stepping into elephant territory, these visitors thought they were just on a sightseeing trip until they realized they had wandered straight into the yard of a living tank. And with no way to retreat, even a thin plastic bottle was suddenly upgraded into their final weapon, though deep down they knew it was completely hopeless. And then, that inspection process quickly expanded into a full system. The first vehicle was only the beginning. The ones behind were stopped one after another. No sirens, no warning signs, just a several-ton officer stepping calmly into the middle of the road. Its trunk searched every corner, every bag more precise and patient than any official checkpoint. In just moments, the entire road turned into an improvised toll station. No one dared to argue, no one dared to pass without paying the fee. And the irony was clear. In this place, the rules weren't made by humans, they belonged to the strongest ones standing in the middle of the road. Bears are among the most powerful and unpredictable wild animals. When they approach people or vehicles, they are not necessarily hunting. Their behavior often comes from curiosity, territorial defense, or reactions to the smell of food. However, their size, strength, and destructive ability make any encounter potentially high risk. Many people assume that staying inside a vehicle is completely safe, but in reality, an adult bear can cause serious damage if it decides to approach. Just a small unintended action like making loud noises or attracting its attention can quickly escalate the situation. For that reason, the most important rule when facing a bear is to keep your distance, avoid provoking it, and never underestimate the instincts of a wild animal. At first, it only stopped a few small vehicles, a modest little toll station with a fairly humble scale. But very soon, the elephant seemed to realize that the vehicles behind them were where the real supply was. And just like that, the target changed. The bus approached and was forced to stop not because of traffic laws, but because of someone already used to controlling this road. This time, it wasn't a quick inspection. The trunk slowly moved along each door gap like a systematic inventory check. If earlier it felt like a game of chance, now it had become a process where humans were no longer the ones in control, but merely passengers waiting to see whether they had enough of a fee to be allowed to continue. At first, it was just a seemingly harmless act of begging for food, an elephant stopping vehicles and waiting for a few items to be handed over as if it were an unspoken agreement. But after many repetitions, it gradually realized something. If no one offered anything, it could simply take it itself. And from that moment on, everything changed. Each passing vehicle was no longer just transportation, but became a mobile warehouse that needed to be checked. There was no more waiting, no more luck involved, only a clear process, where humans had little choice but to cooperate if they wanted to continue their journey. Tiger can accelerate incredibly fast, reaching about 50 to 60 km/h in short bursts, enough to take down prey in just a few seconds. But ask yourself this, if that animal in front of it had been a human, would we even have time to recognize the danger before everything was over? This was a completely uneven confrontation, and it was clear that the power to decide how it would end did not belong to the human. It's not always the predator that controls the situation. The man faced a tense lion head-on. Each step forward felt like a challenge, and the lion's roar and advancing posture made the moment increasingly dangerous. But this time, it was the lion that hesitated and eventually turned away. No one expected this peaceful afternoon to turn into a chaotic scene in just a few seconds. The elephant didn't go wild, for no reason it was reacting, while the humans could only stand there and watch. When the vehicle was tossed aside like a toy, every plan to stay in control suddenly felt pretty meaningless. And in that moment, everyone understood this was no longer a place for carelessness. The man thought a few pieces of food could negotiate with a wild elephant, as if this were just a normal transaction. But when the elephant decided to inspect the entire back of the vehicle on its own, things quickly slipped out of control. Luckily, it was only interested in the food. Otherwise, this story wouldn't have ended with just a few missing belongings. A man stepped into a lion enclosure, not out of bravery, but because he no longer clearly recognized the danger. Standing face to face with a predator, he didn't run while the lion quietly observed. And in that moment, everything depended on a single decision made by the animal. He thought he was just scaring an elephant, until he realized the elephant understood it as a challenge. And just a few seconds later, both the iron gate and his confidence disappeared without a trace. The house was supposed to be the safest place until a lion appeared right outside the window. It didn't just stand there watching. It growled and pressed closer to the glass as if considering a sudden strike. The space inside instantly felt frighteningly fragile. Only a thin layer of glass stood between them, and if it decided to charge, everything could change in just a few seconds. A pride of lion blocked the road, and the vehicle suddenly became an outsider in their territory. There was no roaring, no sudden charge, just quiet, calculating stares. Yet that calm presence made the moment more tense than ever. Because when predators haven't made a move, no one knows exactly when things might slip out of control. Without any protective equipment or weapons, staying away from the territory of a lion is always the wiser choice. Because when you move closer just to take a few souvenir photos, you're also stepping into the control zone of a true predator. And if it becomes aggressive, you might not get the chance to look back at what you just recorded. The people inside the vehicle were busy watching the lion, believing the metal frame was enough to keep them safe. They laughed, raised their cameras to take photos, until the lion moved closer and tried to open the door from the outside. In that moment, everyone froze and realized this was no joke when facing a true predator. They sat inside the vehicle, laughing and filming, believing the metal frame was enough to keep them safe. But the lion didn't care about that. It moved closer and bit straight into the tire, as if confronting an intruder. And when the tire suddenly burst, everyone realized something unsettling. They had never truly been safe at all. At first, the lion quietly followed behind, as if it were just observing. But then it suddenly accelerated and everything changed. The distance quickly closed. It was no longer curiosity, but a real chase. And in that moment, they realized they were no longer the observers. They had become part of the hunt. The lion seemed to have grown tired of where it was and wanted to leave. But the driver understood it wasn't that simple. He immediately pressed the accelerator and moved away from the area before the situation could turn dangerous. The visitors were forced to leave their safari vehicle, giving space to the lion. In that moment, it seemed to be the true owner of the area where humans had no choice but to step back to avoid unwanted situations. If you were in their position, would you have made the same decision? They thought they were just observing, but to the lion it looked like a challenge between equals. One roar, one hunting posture, and everyone immediately backed away. In situations like this, the only thing that can make a lion hesitate is when a human appears threatening enough. An object held in the hand, and a ready-to-confront posture, all of it sends a signal that this is not easy prey. And sometimes just that alone is enough to make a predator stop. The lion approached not just to observe, but to interact directly with the vehicle, even trying to open the door handles. In that moment, the driver had no choice but to leave immediately. But it didn't end there. The lions continued following the vehicle, as if they were defending their territory, until it had completely exited the area. The tourists thought they were just going on a safari to watch lions, but instead they were welcomed with a hug by a massive lion. It climbed straight onto the vehicle and rubbed its head against it like a giant house cat. But everyone soon realized, as fun as it was, they eventually had to leave the vehicle and give way to the king of the savannah. Nature always has a way of reminding us of our limits. What you've just seen isn't just entertainment, it's a real survival lesson. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss more intense encounters.